Hey yo, so we got one more problem in this little group here, the grade 7 part B. I think I split this now into 4 or 5 parts. So this is the last question. It's also computationally intensive, so I just split it off that way just to make everybody happy, especially myself. Especially if I goofed up, I can just plug and play these into here. In other words, if I screwed up really bad, I could delete the video and nobody would know it. Okay, that's really what I'm saying here. So I like to look at the illustration first. Okay, there's different kinds of meats here, and this prices for purchasing those meats. It tells us per pound and the type of meat, and this is happening at somebody's a specific store, Ruby's Market, and this is Ruby's prices. Okay. I don't know what they want to do here. Normally, they're usually, I mentioned it's sometimes we're totaling the numbers up here, but in this case, I don't know that they're just going to do that. It's per pound, and normally they're going to jazz something up here. So that's probably not what's going to happen here. So let me just get rid of my scribbles for a second so we have a clean illustration. Because there's really not much else to grok out of this, so I don't really know where they're going from there. By the way, a lot of people ask me what grok means. It just means to be understanding something clearly and stuff like that. So let's go to the words. Ruby's Market sells smoked meats by the pound. Okay, so these are smoked meats here apparently. The price for several different meats, there's 4 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, are shown in the table. So a pound of chicken is $2.50. Big deal, right? Okay. How much more does a 1 1/4 pounds of beef cost than 1 1/4 pounds of turkey? So what we need to do is do that multiplication, figure out what that price is, and how much more means we have to do a subtraction at the end of it. Okay. So this is kind of nitty-gritty stuff. It's way computational, and there's really not a deeper concept here except really checking your computational skills. That said, there is a little more here because these are decimal numbers, and these two here are mixed fractions. Okay, so do we convert the prices per pound into mixed fractions? Do we convert the 1 1/4 to a decimal number? I don't know. There's a couple of ways to do this. So that's the deal. And just if it's not clear, the answer is in dollars. We're going to get the total cost of the beef, the total cost of the turkey, and subtract them. Find out the difference. Okay? In positive money. What is the absolute value of the difference between those two things that is going on here? So just to be clear, the 1 1/4 pounds of beef is we're going to have $4.25, because that's the price per pound, times 1 1/4. Okay, and then for the turkey is $2.85 times 1 1/4 as well. Okay, so just like in the previous example, there's actually a couple of ways to approach this once we see that's what's happening here. All right, let's take the most brute force way. One way is to convert this 1 1/4 here into 1.25. Okay, so if we do that there, we're going to do that conversion here. I wrote this as a division sign. Let me just fix that so that you know I'm not talking about division. We're actually going to convert it into that. All right, so on the side you can do 4.25 times 1.25. Okay, I'm going to use my handy dandy calculator. Thank you, Steve. 4.25 times 1.25 equals, so we should be getting there 5. Why is this not writing? Okay, wait, there we go. 5.3125. And let me just do that a second time to make sure I did that right. 4.25 times 1.25 equals, so we get that. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing here. This will also convert into 1.25. So what we're going to end up with is the 2.85 times the 1.25. Okay, and that's equal to 3.5625. Okay, so how much more of the course? So we need to do the subtraction. That minus the 5.625. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the subtraction upside down because I already have 3.5625 on the screen. All right. Actually, I don't even need to do that on the calculator because the 5 minus the 5 is 0. The 2 minus the 2 is that. I'm going to borrow from here. This is going to be 5. I'm going to borrow from here. This is going to be 7, and that's going to be 1. So we should get $1.75, but let me just check it. So I'm going to do this in reverse. This is minus 5.3125 equals minus 1.70 because I did the opposite the other way. And remember, I just said it's the absolute value of the difference. It doesn't care which one we're comparing to the other. The difference between the cost is $1.75. All right, so that's what they're looking for here. So this is really about operations. Okay, this is the second part to this. All right. Just before I move to the second part, what we're really doing, and I'm going to change the color of the pen for this. Is we basically had 4.25 times the 1.25, subtracted from that the 2.85 times the 1.25. Okay, this is the distributive property in reverse. So if we have A times B minus C, that's AB minus AC. Well, in this case, our A is the 1.25. All right, so what we basically have is 1.25 times 4.25 minus 2.85, right? So we could have done that. So if we do the 4.25 minus the 2.85, which is the raw prices per pound, we get 1.4, right? And if we multiply that by the 1.25, which is how many pounds they got of each respective thing, we get the 1.75 back. Okay, so that's another way to approach this. All right. So there's a second part to this. So this is a multi-point question or whatever. Brad had $10 to spend. He orders half a pound of sausage. So what we're talking about here is 0.5, right? By the way, just to not leave this blue and green, this could have been written as 4 1/4, right? This one's harder because it was 2 85/100. We still could have done fractional divisions, fractional multiplications. In other words, this is 17/4 times, and this is 5/4. Okay, so we could have gotten 50 85/4 and done the same over here for this. This is 285/100 times 5/4. Okay, this would be a harder multiplication than having done what we did already, but we would still get the same answer. Just we're going to be subtracting fractions at that point, and we should still up with, in that case, you would end up with 1 3/4 as your answer. All right, so, and by the way, even if you got 1.75, 1 3/4 is still the proper answer to this. So again, we're looking at alternatives here and ways to double check our answers in many cases. Okay, so a half a pound of sausage is 0.5 times 3.25. Okay, and then he has 1¼ pounds of chicken, so that's going to be 1.25 times what's the chicken? 250. Okay, so let's try those. We have 0.5 times 3.25. That's equal to 1.65. I should change the color of the pen at this point. And then I have 1 point, whoops, I'm on the wrong screen. 1.25 times 2.5, if I did that right, which is 3. That's equal to 3.125. Okay. My pen is twisted up here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, because I'm just double check this, my numbers seem to be right off the chart, so I'm going to scroll this slightly. Okay, so this show you work here anyway. He has $10 to spend. He orders ½ pound of sausage and 1¼ pounds of chicken. How much money will he have left after he pays? So basically what we need to do is add up those two numbers. Okay. So what we're going to get is, let me change the color of the pen just so we're clear. I thought I did that a minute ago, but I guess not. We'll do that in red. Okay. So we have the 1.625 plus the 3.125. Okay. And since these are separate, we could have rounded. We could have got 1.63 plus 3.13, I guess, right? And added those. So 7 plus 3 is 10, 0, 1, 6, 7, 8, 9.80. Okay. Wait, I made a mistake in there. That was a 3. So this should be 4.80. Okay, I still made a mistake. I wrote this sloppy. This was 1.63 plus 3.13. So that would be 6, 7, 4.76. This is my own sloppiness, so be careful when you guys are doing stuff like that. So what does the 4.76 represent? It's the amount of ½ pound of sausage plus ½ pound of chicken. So what we need to do now is subtract that from 10. And a lot of students get this kind of subtraction wrong because of all these zeros. Okay, this is easy enough to do it in your head, but many of you don't know how to do this subtraction involving zeros. All right, so we can't take 6 from 0. We have to borrow from the next column, but the next column is 0. So we're going to borrow from the column before that, and the next column there is 0. So what we want to do is take 1 unit away from really the 100. So we're going to cross that out and make that 99 and give the unit here. So now we have 10 minus 6 is 4, 9 minus 7 is 2, and then there's no longer 10, there's a 9, so we get 5 there, 5.24. All right, and that's how much he has left after the order. Yay! Woohoo! All right, and that's the answer to that question. So the last 3 questions are pretty computationally intensive. Again, this is a question, the last 3 of them that you're allowed to use a calculator on. However, you should bump up your numeracy skills and your calculation skills just by doing that. I wish these were more concept-oriented. That said, you still need to know how to use mixed fractions to convert it to a decimal, convert the decimals to mixed fractions. If you did it that way, it still involved the distributive property and other things. But this is really about multi-digit multiplication too. It was about knowing which operators to use, things like that. And I wish you guys a good day. Please like and subscribe. Yeah. See you guys soon.